Hi guys, Big Mum Mulgrew here. Got a quick unboxing video for you of a Corsair H75, one of the Hydro series coolers. It's one of the integrated liquid CPU coolers. Just quickly before we actually get to unboxing it, I'm going to go over some of the stats. It's got 120mm by 27mm radiator. The tubing's 10.5mm. Airflow is 54 cubic feet per minute. The noise level is 31.4 dBA. I think that's pretty much the important bits. Oh yeah, how can I forget? CPU sockets. Right, this will support the Intel LGA 1150, 1155, 1156, 1366 and 2011. On AMD it'll do AM2, AM3, FM1 and FM2. Processor list pretty extensive, but I won't go into that because it's pretty much everything. It's not like you're going to have many processors that are going to generate too much heat for this. One thing worthy of note, because it's not massively obvious when reading the details on this, is that this is a dual fan one. You'll see a lot of debate with radiators and water cooling whether it's best to have the fan suck in the air through the radiator, or whether it would be best to have it on the opposite side pushing air through. This Corsair have decided to solve that argument by having both. You have a fan on both sides of the radiator. Makes it a little bit chunky inside, but what the hey, gives us brilliant cooling, so who cares. It is quite discreet, the fact that they say it's dual fan on here. I mean, you can see by the image, but only if you look really closely. I mean, it's hard to see in the image. Even if you're looking at it for real, I mean, I'll hold it up to the camera. See if we can see it if I put the flash on. So you just down the side, you can see the other fan on the back here. It's quite difficult to see. Like I say, it's quite difficult to see in person. It's not just the camera, but it is a dual fan. I mean, there's some text on it, and in the specs it says dual fan. But usually with this stuff, you'll get big writing across the front, dual fan. So I didn't even realise. I was looking for H60. This happened to be in stock at almost the same price. So I thought, what the hey, I'll get a H75 instead. They've both got 120mm fans. That's all I look for. And it's a dual fan one, which is great. So let's get on with it. Let's unbox it. A little bit of foam. Right, we've got the instructions. I do suggest you have a quick glance through the instructions if you've not fitted one of these before. There are going to be different details for different socket types. So it's worth having a quick glance to see which components you're going to need and which ones you're not. Just to give you a clearer image of how the fans work with two fans. I'll get that right up to the camera. So we have one fan, then we have the radiator, then we have another fan on the other side, both blown in the same direction, and then we mount it to the side of the case. So two fans, no more arguing about whether it's best to have it pushing air or pulling air. Rather oddly, first time I open this up, we've got a little bit of discarded cardboard. I have no idea what that's for, other than to stop the fans moving around. I suppose, good idea. We don't want them bouncing around really. Might wear the bearings. I doubt it unless we've got a particularly aggressive courier, but it could happen. Got plenty of cable length. Hold it that way around. Plenty of cable length with 4 pins for the fans. Now these plug into the 4-pin fan headers on a motherboard. Same with this one. Got quite a long cable. It's got to be somewhere around 30 centimetres. And then packaged away nicely is the water cooler itself. Just gently ease this out of the plastic. Now it comes pre-applied with thermal compound. As AMD will tell you, this is quite decent thermal compound, but if you don't believe it, you know, check some third-party reviews. As far as the stuff that comes pre-fitted goes, it's pretty good. I won't be using it. I'll be cleaning it off. I'll be fitting some of this. This is my personal favourite thermal compound. Antec Formula 7 Nano Diamond thermal compound. I'm not going to go into the details of this at the minute. It's not what the video is for, but I thought I'd mention it. That's what I'll be using. It's awesome stuff. If you've never used one of these before, one of these kits before, basically you have the cooling block and the pump all in one. So we have a cooling block at a base and then the pump on top. Be careful not to put too much stress while you're handling it on the pipes. I don't think you'd burst them, but best to be careful. Then we've got pipes coming off the back of them, and they go straight to the radiator. And from the radiator, we'll then mount the fan, one on the front, one on the back. The beauty of these integrated kits is there's no messing about bleeding. There's no messing about bleeding them. There's no messing about attaching and routing cables. As far as I'm concerned, it's as easy to fit as fitting a standard cooler. But you get most of the benefits of water cooling. As proper hardcore water cooling enthusiasts will tell you, these aren't as good as a proper water cooling kit, but they're a hell of a lot better than a standard heat pipe cooler, and they're not much more money. So yeah, nice middle ground. They're really easy to fit. They're quick to fit. They leave you a lot of space in your case, and you don't get all the hassle of water cooling. Okay, the last thing we've got is a bag full of brackets and bolts and screws. Like I say, if you haven't fitted one of these before, do have a quick look in the manual, because you've got one bracket for AMD and you've got one bracket for Intel. They fit slightly differently, so it certainly couldn't hurt to have a quick check of how to fit them. I know we men don't like reading manuals, but if you mount it wrong and you've had to take your motherboard out when you wouldn't have to, you're going to be a bit cheesed off. So have a read. It's certainly worth the 2 minutes it's going to take to read. When I've got this built up, it's going to be with an AMD 9350 CPU, one of the 220 watt range. I'll add a link once I've done the review of the PC itself and show off what temperatures we're getting with this. Most people say it's quite a decent improvement over standard, over decent heat pipe cooling systems. So we'll see. I mean, we've got the dual fan, we've got quite a decent chunky radiator. This should keep it nice and cool. The 9350 and above processors from AMD do tend to kick out quite a lot of heat. The 9350 doesn't come with a cooler because there basically isn't an AMD cooler that's good enough. That's why we're fitting it with one of these. We need something pretty good. At the very least, if you've got one of the 220 watt processors from AMD, you want a good heat pipe cooler as a minimum, with good case ventilation. I'd certainly recommend one of these entry-level water cooling kits for one of those any day. I mean, certainly at least the H60. I mean, the H60 is not particularly expensive. You pick them up for sort of 60 quid. You know, you can't go wrong with that. To get a heat pipe cooler good enough for the 220 watt CPUs, you're going to need something 40 quid, 50 quid plus heat pipe cooler anyway. It's going to take up a huge amount of space and be a real pain in the backside to fit. So, you know, in my view, it's best to just spend a little extra, save yourself the headache, get a better cooler, have a lot less effort, and, you know, save you a lot of work, save you a lot of fiddling trying to get a massive cooler in. Unless I find anything particularly I want to highlight, I'm not going to do a fitting video for this. Corsair do plenty of fitting videos. I'll link them in the video description or in the annotations once I've once I've uploaded it. And I'll put some links to the PC once this PC is finally built, and we get some benchmarks and some temperatures and see what it's like once we're thrashing it. We'll see what it's like. So do subscribe, like the video, and keep your eye out for the upcoming videos on the benchmarks and so on. And I'll see you all soon.